Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, please don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I worked with and used as an athletic director, or I've got a direct connection to, and I strongly recommend that you use them too. So take the next 3 minutes, listen to our sponsorship messages, then listen to our interview, then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Huddle for their support. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I wanted a platform that was going to work for all of our teams, and Huddle came through like a champ. Our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their scoreboards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to find out more. We also want to say thank you to Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day. Things like scheduling, uploading scores, rosters, student athlete eligibility and clearance. Who doesn't do that every day? Communicating with your stakeholders, you name it, Home Campus does it. Does it faster, does it better than any other platform. And all you have to do to get started is go to homecampus.com. That's it. Go to homecampus.com. We also want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. It's also a great way to share your school's unique history and your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We'd also like to thank Snap Raise. If you're looking for a fundraiser, stop it. You found it right here. Go to snapraise.com. Hands down, the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school, tremendous success. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you found it. Go to snapraise.com. We also want to say thank you to Gipper. These days, kids and even their parents are on social media. And if you're not posting up-to-date content, you're really missing out. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will show you how to create world-class marketing content in seconds, and it's so easy, even I can do it. Gipper's used and trusted by over 4,000 high schools and colleges. It's professional graphic design made simple. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to say thank you to the Ohio University Online Master in Athletic Administration. This affordable 20-month online program focuses exclusively on athletic administration. And when you finish, you're not only going to have your master's degree, you're going to have 11 NIAAA leadership training courses to go towards your RAA or your CAA. You're also going to be part of a nationwide network. And to get started, all you have to do is go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. And we want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents, your coaches, your student athletes, you're really missing out. ADs already get feedback, but typically it's from a small group that just want to complain about everything. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% that support your program. And that information is incredibly valuable when you're talking with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another interview with the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to Baltimore, Maryland today, and we're going to be visiting with Dana Johnson. Dana is a certified athletic administrator, and she's the director of athletics at Dunbar High School. That's in the world of athletics, that's a very well-known name. And like I said, that's in Baltimore, Maryland. She's also a graduate of the Ohio University Online Master's Program. We're going to talk about that later. But Dana Johnson, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Can't wait.
Well, we appreciate you taking time. You and I were talking, as all ADs know, this is a busy time. I think spring's probably the busiest season. Dana's actually, working at her regional track meet right now. So we're going to try to get this in. Dana, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Maybe take us up through your own college days, and then we'll take a break. But what's the Dana Johnson origin story?
Cool. I am born and raised in Baltimore City. I went to Western High School, which is one of the oldest all-female public high schools in the country. I played basketball, volleyball, and ran track. Was fortunate to get an athletic scholarship to play basketball at the University of Tennessee, where I played 4 years under the infamous Pat Summitt. Graduated, got my degree in sport management. And then I went overseas and played for a couple years. And I played in the first women's professional league back in the 90s called the ABL. Played there for a few years. And then I decided to come home and start whatever the next career step would be. At that time, my high school coach got me into education. She started with me subbing at one of the smaller high schools. Started sub for a few months. All of a sudden, I got a contract to teach. And that was over 24 years ago. So I've been teaching for 24 years. I've been an athletic director all in Baltimore City for 22 years. And coached, as we know, ADs, we coach a little bit of everything. Whatever's needed to be coached, we will. So I've stepped in and I've coached boys basketball, volleyball, track, badminton, swimming. So whatever was needed, I stepped in until we were able to get coaches to do so. So that's me in a nutshell. All 50 years have been based around athletics in some way, shape, or form.
Wow. So many parts of that I want to dive into. Let's go back to your high school days. Now, growing up in Baltimore, I'm going to say that was probably an urban setting for you. What was it like being a multi-sport athlete back then? Were the coaches, were they kind of fighting over you, or did the coaches share back when you were in high school?
It was definitely a share. It was something that my high school coach wanted me to do. She wanted me to play multiple sports. One, it looked good on the resume when in the recruiting pool. And two, it looked good on getting extra awards as a junior and a senior. So volleyball was my first sport. I had never played basketball prior to going to high school. So volleyball was definitely my first sport once I got into high school. And once my basketball coach was like, you either play volleyball or you run cross country. I'm not a runner, so there was no question on which one I was going to do. So I played volleyball, ran right into basketball, of course. And probably my junior year, our track coach was like, I need a shot putter, somebody throw disc and do high jump. So of course, my basketball coach said it was fine because being basketball was the main sport. AAU and summer leagues basketball, of course, was the priority. But she was like, it's a good thing. It looks good on the resume. Coaches want to recruit you. It looks good. So I did it. I loved it. And actually became one of my sports that I truly love participating in the track. Never knew until my junior year. So I think a lot of young people should think about it and not just be so focused on one. I think it helps you develop just about all the skills that you would need for your primary sport.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm a big time track guy, so I love to talk to track people. I have to ask about your experience at Tennessee. We've actually had a couple of guests on that played for Coach Summit. Any stories stick out for you now that, you are wearing that coach hat, that AD hat, that maybe at the time when you were a player really didn't connect, but now looking back, you can say, hey, those were significant moments.
I think the biggest moment, and I always will remember this, um, is coach. I guess I was the oldest child, so I was somewhat of a loner. So I wasn't the biggest communicator. So it was in practice, and like I said, I wasn't a big communicator, but that was a big thing for Coach Summit. So in her mind, if I wasn't communicating, she wasn't really getting to know me or understand me. So she called my mother and was like, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to get to Dana. She won't talk to me. What can I do? And my mother was like, Dana's not a big talker, but when she feels comfortable, she will start talking. And so over time, over a few weeks, I got comfortable. It was a new setting. I went from Baltimore City, a true city, to Knoxville, Tennessee, which is a true Southern state. So just trying to get used to Coach Summit and how she does things, how she communicated. It was new to me, so I had to get comfortable with it. But once I got comfortable, she understood me, how to communicate with me, and I understood how she communicated. And those are things that I still use now. With my young people this year was I coached varsity boys basketball. And that is the biggest thing with young men is communication or the lack thereof communication. So that became one of a priority for me, even if it was just a simple coach, I'm going to coach class. Coach, I have to leave early. Coach, I'm not, just give me something so I know at least you're listening to me, you understand what I'm saying. So I can definitely just over the past few years understand what Coach Summit went through with me, trying to figure out how to communicate with me, just dealing with and understanding young people right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I look back at my own high school and college experience 100 years ago. I was probably not the easiest athlete to coach, but um, all right. Here's a question I've asked a couple of times. We've had a couple of folks that had played in the early days of the WNBA, never the ABL. That's very cool. Um, let's say we could put you in that time machine and take Dana from those days and put you into today's WNBA. Is your game still going to hold up? Are you going to be able to go, toe to toe, shot to shot with some of those WNBA rookies now?
I would say the Dana that was in good shape then, yes. I'm just being honest. The Dana that was one of my issues is trying to stay in shape. But the Dana that was in shape, most definitely. I think because now, but it's coming back, and I love it as a post player. Post play has been kind of shady for a while. But the last 3-4 years, true post players are starting to come back, and I love it. Because if you can get a real good post player, you can take your team to a whole nother level. So I think that's what we're seeing in these last few years, having true post players and how they're stepping up and being post players and not worried about the jumper, but taking the hits and the licks down low. But I think I definitely could. I can hang a little bit.
There you go. No, I love it. Okay. What do you, and again, you were there. Okay. You lived it. What do you think about the game today? Talking about the pro game for the women. What's the thing that really sticks out for you that's changed compared to when you were a professional player?
Um, of course, it's the media around it. When I was playing, women's basketball was just starting to get that national television. You're starting to get onto national television. So I think the biggest difference, I don't think it's the style of play. I don't think it's the level of play. I just think it's the exposure and the opportunities that the young women have to make that extra money. So I think social media and media has allowed the game to grow and to develop, to be exposed worldwide. And it's definitely benefiting these young ladies now on the opportunities and abilities to make. those funds that I couldn't make or
Right.
wasn't able to make. But I don't think the style of game has changed. I think my style of game from 20, 30 years ago is starting to come back. So that's an awesome thing, but I just think it's the opportunities that come with it now.
Oh, yeah. No, very cool. Appreciate you sharing your perspective. For our listeners, our guest today is Dana Johnson. She's a certified athletic administrator. She's the director of athletics at Dunbar High School. That's in Baltimore. We're going to hear more about that, but let's go and take our first break. But we're coming back with more. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Huddle for their support of the podcast. You know, as a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I wanted a platform that was going to work for all of our teams, and Huddle came through like a champ. Our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the tools that Huddle provided that allowed our kids to play at the highest level. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Their products not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com.
Hey, Jake, how you doing? Huddle, Gipper, I see you have a little bit of everything with your sponsors. I love Gipper. Gipper is one of those good ones that is easy for us to promote our young folks. And Huddle allows my football team, my football coaches, to expose and create mini movies for my young men that are being recruited. So you definitely got some good sponsors up there.
Oh, I appreciate you saying that. Now, for Huddle, have you had a chance to use it with your other teams besides football?
We strictly right now it's just strictly football. My football program is my premier program where we have young folks that are being recruited throughout the nation. So we're just right now we're sticking with football until I feel more comfortable investing in
Right.
the other programs that can definitely utilize it.
Sure. No, I understand completely. And you heard me say, as a football coach, we used it. I thought it was great. I was a little bit concerned when we decided to become a Huddle school where the other coach is going to like it. And I could tell you, our volleyball, our basketball, soccer, they just loved all those features. So when you're ready to make that jump, you can do it with confidence. Huddle just does a great job. Let's go and jump back into the interview. We're visiting today with Dana Johnson. She's the athletic director, Dunbar High School in Baltimore, Maryland. Dana, you shared briefly that when your basketball playing days were over, and again, that's a whole different show. I want to do that show later on. That you got involved, like many of us do. I certainly did, as a substitute teacher. So take us through that journey that went from substitute to regular teacher to coach and ultimately sitting behind the athletic director's desk.
Well, I started substituting. I was working with a program for youth that were looking for uh, whatever their next step was going to be. So I jumped into substituting. I started at the middle school, high school level, of course, PE. Once I started getting in and getting comfortable with the young people, my high school basketball coach was at that particular school. She was creating a after school program for that particular middle school, high school, and it was a combo school at that time. And she was like, the school is looking for a PE teacher. What do you think? I'm fresh from playing, don't know what my next step is going to be. So I said, of course, I'll jump in. So I started being the PE teacher, PE slash health teacher at the high school. I started coaching. I was actually coaching at my alma mater, Western High School, for basketball, and was coaching at the school that I was working, Southside Academy. I was coaching volleyball. So I was jumping from school to school, coaching, but it was what I wanted to do. I love coaching. I think that, I tell people that's the reason why I teach. I didn't get in teaching to teach. I got into teaching to coach. It's just being honest about it. So I love coaching. So I was at Southside for a couple years, and the assistant principal at the time, he was a previous athletic director before he came assistant principal. And he was like, "Dan, I see some good qualities in you." And it was a building program. It was a small school. It was a building athletic program. And he was like, "I feel like with your youth, your energy, you can help build this athletic program." Um, he said, "But there's only one caveat to the deal." Like I said, I was coaching at my alma mater, at Western High School. He said, "If you take the position as athletic director, we want you to coach the boys varsity program as well." I took that as a challenge, um, to be one of probably maybe one or two women in the state of Maryland at that time, coaching varsity boys basketball. So that it was a package deal. Become the athletic director, and you become the boys varsity basketball coach. Thrown into the fire. Didn't know anything about athletic director. Yes, my degree was in sport management, but I got my degree when I was 22. I'm like 28, 29 years old. Forgot some of that stuff. Um, so to jump into it, thrown into the fire, didn't know the system. But I was blessed to have Mr. Robert Wade, who was the director of athletics for Baltimore City at the time, as a mentor. So I was thrown into it, but I was definitely covered by one of the best to do it in Baltimore City. Uh, Nervous, young. At that time, the bulk of the ADs in Baltimore City were African American men over 50 years old, and I'm coming in as a late 20s female. So I was probably maybe one of maybe three females as ADs, and definitely the youngest, because some of the female ADs at that time were on their way out, getting ready to retire. So to jump into it, being the baby and being new, but definitely having those mentors that guided me through. And that was 22 years ago, and I'm still here.
Now, you played sports, high school and college, you had very much a lot of experience in athletics, but it's always different, what I call going to the other side of the desk. What were some things that maybe surprised you about the job? And what were some things that, hey, I was born to do this? Any memories stick out?
The biggest part for me was having to sit behind a desk too long, too many hours of the day. That was the biggest thing. At that time, I was active, even as a PE teacher. As a coach, I was always out there with the kids. We playing basketball, I was playing ball with the kids. Playing volleyball, I was playing, volleyball with the kids. So having to, like you said, adjust your mindset. That now I'm on the administrative side, and that paperwork has to get done because that's the major part of our job. Just adjusting that mindset is that I do have to do the administrative side as well, because I came into it, coaching the kids and just being around the kids, and that keeps you young and keeps you wanting to do things. But for me, that was the biggest thing, adjusting just the schedule and making sure that I was able to get everything that I needed to get done on the administrative side.
Now you already mentioned, and I think any new AD goes through this, but for you, there the other challenges, coaching staff with a lot of veteran coaches, and here comes this young person who, by the way, is also a woman, and I'm sure they did their research. They could see that you were a D1 athlete, a pro athlete, and there might have been a little intimidation on their part too. What were some of the things that you did and still do as a leader to build those relationships where they understand you might be a Hall of Fame coach, but hey, I'm the athletic director, and we're going to work together. What are some things that you do to build that relationship?
And that's the biggest thing for me. I guess from playing for the coaches that I played for back in the day, um, it was always building a family. It wasn't about me being your leader or me being the person in charge. That's not how I approached it, because this is a job that you can't do by yourself. Um, as one of my coaches walk by right now. So it was all about building that family where we work together and we build together. So when I say that I have an open door policy, I have an open door policy. I very rarely close my office door. I have coaches that come in and they will just sit and we'll talk about nothing, or we'll talk about sports. So it's just trying to build the relationships outside of athletics, and know that some of the things that you are going through as a coach, I went through as a coach. How can I help you? And just keep it, I want to say keep it loose, but keep it real. So just don't, so you don't think I'm just your boss. And I hate when they call me boss, because I'm not your boss. We do this together. We created this program together and we're going to build it together.
I love it. Now you've been there for 22 years. Okay. What's something, and maybe this is an initiative that you created over the years, or maybe it's something that's been at Dunbar forever that you continue to foster and nurture and promote. What's something at your school that you're particularly proud of?
I think for me, about 2, 3 years ago, I got a new administrator, and an administrator that is definitely sports friendly. So you don't always get a sports friendly principal. So when I got this administrator, and she had a vision of what she wanted athletics to look like, and of course I had a vision as well. So trying to meld those visions together so we both can see what we wanted. And my biggest thing was I have a lot of coaches that aren't teachers, that aren't educators. So they come in, and I'm expecting them, and I'm asking them, I want you to look at GPAs. I want you to focus on report cards. I want you to do all this academic stuff. But they weren't educated on the academic stuff. So that was a big thing for me, is to educate my coaches on the academic portion. You're fine as a coach, but as we know, if we want our young people to go to the next level, it's not just what they do on the athletic field, it's what they do in the classroom as well. So my biggest thing for over the past 3, 4 years is developing my coaches so they can understand the academic side, getting them in the building and building relationships with the teachers, because we know if a teacher knows that a young person is playing a sport, they reach out to the coach first before they reach out to the parent. So if you've already developed those relationships with those teachers, they know that I can call coach at any time. I can text coach at any time, and they're going to respond and they're going to help me out. So that was my biggest initiative, is building the bridge between the academic side and the athletic side.
I love it. One of the most frequently mentioned tools in our athletic director toolbox series is the importance of building those relationships. Great stuff. We're going to take another quick break. Again, our guest today is Dana Johnson. She's a certified athletic administrator and the director of athletics at Dunbar High School in Baltimore, Maryland. So let's take that break, but we're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast.
I would say.
We want to say thanks to our good friends at Home Campus for their support. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day for things like scheduling, uploading results and rosters, communicating with your coaches and stakeholders, student athlete eligibility and clearance. Who doesn't work on that one every day? And Home Campus is going to do all of these things and more. It's going to do it faster, going to do it better. It's going to give you a lot of time back in your daily schedule. To get started, all you have to do is go to homecampus.com. That's it. Go to homecampus.com. We'd also like to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. It's also a great way to tell your school's unique history and share your proudest moments. Once again, the website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. And of course, we want to thank Gipper. Today, it's all about social media. That's where the kids are. That's where a lot of their parents are. And if you're not creating content to promote your athletes and teams, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Their team will have you creating world-class marketing content in seconds. And it's so easy, even I can do it. Gipper's used and trusted by over 4,000 high school and college programs across the country. It's professional graphic design made simple. That's Gipper.com. Check them out today. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. We're visiting with Dana Johnson, the athletic director at Dunbar High School in Baltimore, Maryland. Dana, we have a lot of younger ADs, newer ADs that listen to the podcast, and I think it's important for them to hear about the journey that we all end up taking with our state association and with the NIAAA. You've got your CAA. That doesn't happen by accident. So share, if you can, your journey. How did you first get involved with the state association, and how did you get involved with NIAAA?
How I got involved with the state. I actually started going to the conference. It's called the MSADA, Maryland State Athletic Directors Association. We have a yearly conference in Ocean City. So probably my second year as an athletic director, I started attending our state athletic conference, which of course you have different seminars, different workshops. At that time, we hadn't started offering LTC courses. So once I started getting involved with our local, I had a mentor at that time, Mr. Ron Belenko,
Oh, yeah.
who was at that time, he was the director of athletics for Baltimore County. And he was like, Dana, he always said, I see something in you. I want you to start taking LTC courses. And one of the best ways, I think he was giving them for Baltimore City and Baltimore County at that time. We going out professional development days, he would offer LTC courses. So I started taking the LTC courses. Once I started taking the courses, then all the certifications started. They start throwing those certifications at you: RAA, CAA, CMAAA. So one of the first couple courses that he taught our district was to get our RAA. So that started the ball rolling. Getting that RAA certifications. He was like, okay, now you're comfortable with our local. I think you'll do well going to our national conference. So the very first national conference I attended for NIAAA was in Indianapolis. Never been to Indianapolis. Mind you, I have traveled the world playing basketball, but have never been to Indianapolis. So it was something new, something different. While there, I took a couple courses, came back home, took a few more courses. I think with the NIAAA National Athletic Directors Conference, it gives you an opportunity to see how other people live and how they move and how they think, even if we're serving the same type of young person, but just in a different setting. So it opens your eyes to other ideas and other ways that you can serve your young people based on having similar circumstances from another state. So it opens your eyes in many ways with that. When I came back, once again, Mr. Belenko, he has always been my mentor when it came to the NIAAA and educating myself about being an athletic director. Took the courses I needed to take. I was already at that time a regional director for our state association for basketball and volleyball. So of course that helps out with the CAA exam and application that you're doing other things. And of course, I'm already an athletic director. So all those things that you need to have accomplished to take your CAA exam, I had already done. So I just needed to get the courses in. Took the test the first time, passed it, was so happy, got that out the way. And as I continue to grow as an athletic administrator here in Baltimore City, I have been blessed to be a part of our state association, the MSADA, as being the past president. I just finished my, 2 years now from being a past president. So now I'm still a part of the organization. I'm the secretary. And then as I was doing my tenure with MSADA as the first vice president, second vice president to presidency, I was our state association that's over athletics when it comes to rules and requirements and bylaws and all that other stuff. MPSSAA, I was the president of that organization as well. So over the years, I have had the opportunity to be in positions where I can help develop and grow our athletic program on the coaches side and on the AD side. So I think in my 22 years of being an athletic director, I've done a lot. I feel like I still have some more things that I want to do, that I feel like I need to accomplish. But I'm not mad at the last 22 years at all.
Right. Oh, well, I appreciate you sharing all the aspects of that. And, you talked about, being involved with your state association, taking the workshops and then being an officer, and you're still involved as a secretary. Great stuff. Um, Looking at the LTI courses that you've taken over the years, I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Mhm.
Can you think of something that when you're in the course, and by the way, I actually had Ron Belenko as an instructor for some of my early LTI courses at Nationals. Um, can you think of something that came up in the class and you just go, wow, I've got to bring this back to my school? Maybe it was something about you as an AD or something for the coaches or facilities. Can you think about any wow moments
I've had
with
a
one
couple
of those
wild moments
courses?
over the
Yeah,
years. I've had a
yeah.
couple. I think one of the biggest one, I'm a techie person. So anything that deals with technology that can help minimize my work or enhance my work, yes. Um, I think one of the biggest things, well, two of the biggest things is the student leadership, giving my young people a voice. Um, and of course, the coaches, building my coaches to give my coaches a voice as well. Um, those were the two biggest things that I continue to try to build on. So whenever I get an opportunity to go to the conference or go to a seminar or workshop that talks about student leadership and building coaches, I jump in because I want to know how I can continue to develop my coaches. Because right now, my coaches, I've been here at Dunbar for 13 years. Some of those coaches were here before I got here. And, as older we get, the longer we stay, we get comfortable in what we do. Our kids are changing, but we're not changing. So I try to find ways that can get my coaches to get out of their comfort zone, so we can better serve our young people. So anything that helps me build my coaches so they can start building our young talent in a different way is I'm always going to try to find ways to do that.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely. Now, Dana, we're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit, find out more about how you do things at Dunbar, or just add you to their network, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Email, and I also have social media. I think it's Coach. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm on Instagram. I can pull it up 1 second because I have, you have the school's Instagram and your own personal Instagram. Um, so you can reach me on Instagram at Coach DJ414.
Coach DJ 414. You said that's Instagram.
That's
Uh,
Instagram.
and what's the email address if they wanted to just go direct to you?
DL Johnson at BCPS Baltimore City Public Schools .k12.md.us.
Okay. And I'm going to guess that information is also on the NIAAA membership portal since you're an NIAAA
Yes.
member. Well, we are going to come back. Let's take another quick break. As we mentioned at the top of the show, Dana's a graduate of the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration, one of the great sponsors of our program. Um, the assistant athletic director at my school in Tallahassee, also a graduate. And Periodically, we feature graduates to talk about their Ohio University experience, and that's what Dana's going to do next. So let's take that break, but we are coming back, including the toolbox. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We'd like to say thank you to Snap Raise for their support of the podcast. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and ended up with little, if any, return on investment? Stop right here. Go to snapraise.com. Hands down, the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with tremendous success. Our coaches loved it, our parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms, but if you're looking for a fundraiser, you found it. Go to snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to the Ohio University online master's degree in athletic administration. This affordable 20-month online program focuses exclusively on interscholastic athletic administration. And when you finish, you're not only going to have your master's degree, you'll have completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses that can go towards your RAA or your CAA credential. You're also going to be part of a nationwide network with connections in athletics all across the country. To get started, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Master's Program. And we'd like to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, and more customization. The Hometown team is here to help you make the best solution for online ticketing. hometownticketing.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD. Our guest is Dana Johnson, a certified athletic administrator and the director of athletics at Dunbar High School in Baltimore, Maryland. Dana, you're a graduate of the Ohio University Online Masters. It's one of the sponsors of our program. And again, my connection is that my own assistant AD at the school I was at got his master's through the program. So I'm a big fan. But can you share your experience? I mean, you had a lot of choices, I assume, when you were considering which program to go through. Why Ohio, and what were some of the things as you got into it really stuck out for you as, hey, I made the right choice?
I had already been an athletic director probably for 10, 12 years by the time when I started checking out master's programs. Um, of course, everybody wants you to be, you have the skills to be an administrator, be a principal and an assistant principal. But at that time, and still at this time, athletics is my energy. That is my energy source. So I said I'll look for my master's in athletic administration. So I started doing my research, and the biggest thing for me is the flexibility of the programs. I definitely needed something that was totally online because of my schedule between work and family. I really didn't have the time to go sit in a classroom 2-3 days a week. So of course, when Ohio University, after researching it, it was fully online. And just the one time that we have the in-person session, which is, I think, was probably one of the better parts of the program, having an opportunity to go on campus, which is a beautiful campus. Had never been to Ohio University's campus, which is a beautiful campus, with my cohort when we have our 2-3 day in-person sessions. So for me, Ohio, the fact that it was totally online was the kicker for me to do the application and get going with the program. And it was 18 to 20 months, which sounds like a lot, but it's not, because it goes by quickly. But as I start getting into the program, like I said, I had already been an athletic director probably for 10, 12 years. So once again, you get stuck in your ways of doing things and how you think. And to have an opportunity at that time to start having to think and wanting to think and wanting to build myself as an athletic director and start building my programs as an athletic director, it gave me the opportunity to like I said, think outside of my box. Um, Start wanting to do things a little differently that benefited myself, my coaches, and my student athletes, and sometimes the school as a whole, trying to make some changes, doing things a little differently from some of the courses that I was taking. The budgeting course, big thing, because at that time I didn't have a budget. You know, you tell me what you want and I see if I can do it. That was how my principals rolled at that time. Or you get a little lump sum of money and you try to figure it out. And I wasn't in school settings where my programs generated funds. So it definitely had me think outside of the box when it comes to budgeting, how to market your program, and things of that nature. And I think the program itself just made me start thinking of ways, different ways of doing things that I have been doing the same thing for the last 12 years. So for an AD who had at that time truly been seasoned, it rejuvenated me to want to start growing and doing other things. I think after completing my master's, I actually started doing PDs. I actually started doing PDs for ADs locally for our new ADs. I was a mentor for our new ADs because of that program, because it gave me, being the AD that was thrown into the fire, I didn't want that to be the next AD, because sometimes we have a high turnover because you can get burnt out in the first couple of years as an AD if you just don't know what you're doing. So I started being a mentor for a lot of our young ADs in our area. I started teaching LTI courses locally because I saw the need, how much that program helped me. I saw that that need would help that next young AD that to come into the fold.
Well, that's just really cool to hear you share that. I can tell your heart is really in it. Now, you talked about the content, the budgeting and the online aspect of it from a time management standpoint. And I think initially that's how you're going to judge programs, by their content. Same thing with LTI courses. But just like an LTI, a gifted, a quality instructor can really make that material come alive. What was your impression as you got into the courses of the instructors from the Ohio program that were presenting that content?
I think the one that definitely stood out to me was Aaron. Aaron always made you think outside of the box, and not just accepting the basic. He made you think on, like, if this was your program, what would you do? How can you apply this to your everyday and not just getting the book version? And I think that was the biggest part for me, is being able to have those instructors that made you connect the dots um, of what's in the book and what you can do with your program. So that was the biggest part for me.
Now, from a timing standpoint, I probably should have asked this question before you came on. Um, you had already gotten involved with, the NIAAA and the LTC program. Um, at the one of the advantages of the Ohio program is that it allows you to not just earn your master's degree, but also complete the NIAAA requirements that allow you to sit for the exam. Now, did you already have your CAA?
I'd already had my CAA at that time.
Okay.
So those are some of the courses that I used, that I was able to take, help me work towards my CMAA and start developing that project, making me think about developing that project for my CMAA.
Okay. Now, and that's something we don't often talk about is, those 600, 700 courses, whichever ones you were taking, they can, you can meet those requirements for the CMAA. I'm going to put you on the spot a second time. I was on the certification committee for many years at the national level. So I wouldn't be doing my job, my former job, if I didn't ask, what is your project going to be, or what are you thinking that your project might be for your CMAA?
It would be the professional development of my coaches and how I continue to create programming or creating seminars to help them develop and how like I said, my biggest thing is being able to have them tie the academic and the athletic piece together. Yeah.
I love it. I think it's going to be great. And for listeners, if you're thinking about, well, gosh, I have no idea what my CMA project could be, I'm telling you that you're doing something right now at your school, maybe with students, maybe with coaches or facilities. You're doing something that would make a great CMA project. Reach out to your state's certification coordinator. Every single state has one. And if you can't get a hold of them, reach out to me. I do still do that, help people, organize that process of their CMAA. Dana, this has just been so cool connecting with you, adding you to my network and hearing your story. But we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. Now, anybody that's been listening can certainly tell you know your way around the world of athletics, but we're going to take our final break. We're going to hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsored this segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 items in the toolbox. So let's hear from Athletic Surveys. And when we return, Dana Johnson's going to tell us what's going to go into her new athletic director toolbox. Please stay with us. We want to thank Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment of the podcast. Athletic Surveys are about connections and feedback, and athletic directors already get feedback from one group, the complainers, the people that want to gripe about everything. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And that's a tremendously valuable bit of information to have, particularly when you're talking with a frustrated parent or student athlete, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Dana Johnson. Dana's a certified athletic administrator, also the director of athletics at Dunbar High School in Baltimore, Maryland. As you've heard, she has a tremendous background in athletics, but right now I'm going to challenge her to send out a brand new AD on the very first job, but I'm only going to let her put 3 things in the toolbox. So Dana, what 3 items are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
The first thing will be some type of time management tool so they can start developing that work-life balance. As we know, ADs, our day can start at 7 a.m. and end at 10 p.m. So trying to find some type of management tool to have that work-life balance. 2, contact list for everybody in your district, your transportation, your assigners, your trainers, any person that you're going to need during a contest or a practice, have that contact list on you. And then the third one would be related to your state athletics, your tournaments, your regional directors, anybody you would need to get in contact with when it's time for that state tournament time, because it can run up on you when who are you able to contact? Who do I send my information to? Because as we know, if you don't send your information, that can be a costly thing for that particular program. And then I would say definitely some type of tool to help build a relationship with your administrators and your staff, because that is without the support of your administrator and some of your staff members, it can be a difficult job.
Well, I love all of them. I always love when somebody talks about, work-life balance, because I think it's an area where athletic directors, we talk the talk, but we don't always walk the walk.
Definitely.
And again, building those relationships, the contact list, state tournament stuff. That's great. Boy, very cool stuff. Dana, one more time, if one of our listeners wants to reach out and connect with you, find out more about how you do things at Dunbar, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
You can send me a message on Coach DJ 414 on Instagram, or you can just send me an email. DL Johnson at Baltimore City Public Schools, bcps.k12.md.us.
Okay. And again, Dana's information is on the NIAAA membership portal for all NIAAA members. Dana, thanks again for sharing. I know it's an incredibly busy time for you, but thanks for sharing with our listeners today, and all the best moving forward.
I thank you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, this is great. We're gonna have to get you back on down the road for one of our other segments. Okay.
Let me know. Let me know.
For our listeners, we certainly appreciate you tuning in. And just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Thanks again for listening. We do this just about every day with new content and best practices. And we'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.